Okay, now to post that video I worked really hard on.
Bro lives in Japan. Konnichiwa.
The whole woke thing is a reaction to issues in society that have become unbearable.
This drawing
to
reminds me
people
of
who
Wimpy
don't
Kid.
look like you.
LOL.
You will
Dude,
never
they've
solve
been
anything
talking about
while you blame
societal
yourself.
alienation.
Listen
to me, people of
my
my
age.
age.
You
Sam,
God.
Christmas
Jesus
press
Christ,
virus.
Guys, can't we all just get along? I guess if anyone can share information on the internet, including their opinion, how do we know what's true and what's not? I mean, that could lead to some pretty big problems if it's not regulated somehow, right? All the big social media platforms of our day are arbitrarily regulated, I guess, but those rules are according to those who run the platform, which obviously changes depending on who's at the top. Look, man, I don't even fucking claim to be right. I'm just a stupid dipshit YouTuber. But because I can participate in the discussion, am I along with many other people muddying up the waters of truth? I mean, when you put it that way, it's all kind of dystopian. I don't even fucking know if I'm getting that word right, so hold on, let me make a call. Snake, I had a question for you. What does dystopian mean?
Hey, Tantris, this isn't high school. Are you seriously asking a 20-year-old game character for something you can easily find in a dictionary? Ugh, give me a break.
But Snake, you're like really cool. And I love you and you were in all my favorite games and stuff.
Save me the ass-kissing, kid. Alright, a dystopia is an imagined state or society in which there is a great suffering or injustice, typically one that is totalitarian or post-apocalyptic. Does that answer your question? If you have any more dumbass things you want to ask, my frequency is 140.48.
So regarding the term dystopian, tech giants like Apple and Google wield significant authority over the platforms millions of users engage with daily, granting them substantial power to shape the online experiences of these individuals. For instance, when algorithms on platforms like YouTube prioritize specific content tailored to each user's preferences, they subtly mold their subjective worldview. And this personalization of information consumption alters the landscape of online discourse, particularly since platforms like YouTube accommodate contributions from virtually anyone. The era when a few televised channels and newspapers dominated the dissemination of daily news, as my parents recounted from the 1980s, is pretty much over. The internet's capacity for personalized content interaction has fundamentally transformed how society engages with information, leading to, in my opinion, a bit of cultural fragmentation, even political fragmentation. I mean, God, like, this fragmentation complicates the pursuit of consensus or truth, prompting those in positions of influence to shape and sometimes censor information, albeit with debatable outcomes. Ultimately, the internet's most influential actors dictate the digital environment, thereby shaping the context within which the public operates. I'm going to be as nice as I can and not rage too much about it because I can sort of understand why this dilemma is actually a thing. So stay with me. Look, I don't agree with it, but a lot of the comments in the last video mention how the internet is the center of the problem of the modern era. And one of those problems is that there's no longer any fixed source where the majority of people get their information. In the age of our parents, there were essentially only a handful of reliable sources one had to learn anything, and not 20 other options that either contradicted or opposed the views of the last. Consider the manner wherein we get information now, and how we got it 30 years ago. Before we all had conveniences like Wikipedia, YouTube, Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc. Those hungry for knowledge were limited to either going to a library, a bookstore, an educated friend, or a university education. No one then had the same access to the repository of human knowledge on the internet we now do. In many ways, it has indeed been to our benefit, as you can teach yourself to do just about anything if you're savvy enough. But when I have the same posting ability as like Fox News or CNN, then I don't know, how can you tell what's true? What if Fox News is lying to you? What if CNN's lying to you? What if I'm lying to you? I'm not lying to you, but I don't know. What is true and what is not true? What does it mean to be true? The epistemological question is hardly posed properly in the digital age. David Hume, the great empiricist, claimed that reason was the slave of the passions. We did not believe things were true because the world presented the facts as they were, but rather our emotional biases led us there, and we only use reason to rationalize the journey. So here's a quote by David Hume when he was living in England. I mean Scotland.
The greater part of mankind are naturally apt to be affirmative and dogmatical in their opinions, and while they see objects only on one side and have no idea of any counterpoising argument, they throw themselves precipitately into the principles to which they are inclined, nor have they any indulgence for those who entertain opposite sentiments.
Hey! Wake the fuck up! You got people waiting here! Shit. Alright, so let's all take a step back. What the fuck does this even mean? So Hume is basically telling us that most people have a natural inclination to assert their beliefs confidently and to hold on to them firmly without much doubt, being all dogmatical. In other words, people tend to be assertive and certain about their beliefs rather than being open-minded or skeptical. Hume observes that many individuals tend to view things from a single perspective and fail to consider alternate viewpoints or arguments that might challenge their beliefs. I'm looking at you, Conchichiwa!
But I wasn't even sharing an opinion.
Shut up, I don't care!
But you're proving his point by getting emotional and shutting me down. Don't you want to hear about differing perspectives?
Oh. You're right. They're limited in their understanding because they only see one aspect of a situation or issue. Instead of carefully weighing evidence or considering different perspectives, people hastily embrace their principles or beliefs that align with their predispositions or inclinations, to which they are inclined. They do so without taking the time to critically evaluate these principles, so Hume argues that such individuals typically lack tolerance or patience for those holding different opinions. They may dismiss or ignore opposing viewpoints, refusing to engage in constructive dialogue or debate. Sound like something or someone you know? Yeah, sounds like the internet. Big fucking deal. Alright, so what if we're just a bunch of asshole keyboard warriors sharing our opinion, right? Well, have you ever taken a moment to think about how information used to be preserved? You know, because it took a lot more time. Like, the way the internet works is that basically anything we post anywhere has the potential to be preserved forever, be it a YouTube comment or from John Doe to a research paper posted on an academic channel somewhere else. I don't know. But we're going to be looking at history. The time after the internet is going to be a much bigger mess because there's going to be so much more crap to sift through. There's one exception of pop culture media that addresses this issue in my opinion, and that is a legendary game released almost 20 years ago. Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. Certainly one of my favorite games of all time. Not only because it picks apart one of the most profound truths of our age, but also because that shit's just fucking fun to play. Nearly all information shared on the internet does not go through a filter, and thus neither the speaker, the listener, or the society at large will truly have any basis to decide whether or not it is the truth. Without spoiling the game, let me just play a clip just before the climax.
Why would you take away individual freedoms and censor the net?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives, through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness, never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate. Right? You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context.
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
Be nice to other people.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated. But nobody is right. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper.
We're trying to stop that from happening.
It's our responsibility as rulers. Just as in genetics, unnecessary information and memory must be filtered out.
And you think you're qualified to decide what's necessary and not?
Absolutely. Who else could wade through the sea of garbage you people produce?
This is, in my opinion, one of the most profound moments in gaming history. The basic context is that you've been lied to since the beginning, and an Illuminati-like body of people is actually in control of the dissemination of all media, and has managed to guide society in the direction that it sees fit. Raiden, the main character, is shocked to learn that democracy, as he's come to know it, has been nothing but a well-staged show to satisfy the public, while the rulers of the country control which facts and which information are regarded as true, so as to artificially guide the direction and flow of history. All of this as a preemptive countermeasure to stop the public from losing faith in its institutions. You gotta imagine what it was like for me playing this game on my bed while those characters were talking about information in the digital age. I was like, I don't get it. Because, I was just a stupid kid eating my Doritos after school. But my dad let me play Metal Gear Solid, even though it was rated M, because he was like, I want you to play a game that makes you think. And then I was like, Dad, I'm 12. I want to play Halo like my friends. And then he just looked at me and was like, no Halo! Metal Gear! Goodbye. And my dad was right. There were parts of the games that made me think. There was this.
Information and memory must...
And then there was this. So according to Metal Gear, the justification for censorship is very similar to the one used for eugenics, allowing only the ideas best fit for the future to move on and suppressing anything that those in power deem either dangerous or trite. I mean, you seriously can't even fathom the amount of information that there is on the internet right now. New videos are being posted on YouTube as you're watching this one right now. And if you look up that number, 3.7 million each day. That's like close to 1.4 billion new videos every year. And since YouTube's been released, if you do the math, that's like what? That's like 28 billion videos. Meaning for every person on Earth, there are 4 videos. No, isn't that not weird? That's a little weird. But as you know, that's a lot of information. And if there's more and more and more added onto the heap, how is anyone going to discern good information from bad information? And I think those running the platform have resorted to censorship to create context in which their preferred worldview is king. If humans naturally needed to organize themselves into a hierarchy where everyone has a role, then how can we do that if information isn't centralized? You kind of see what I'm getting at? Maybe they see themselves as the almighty and therefore have the divine right to arbitrate information online. But considering the track record social media now has for basically censoring anything that goes too far outside of the Overton window, I like to think that it's a pretty decent thesis, if you ask me. Boo! I didn't ask you! Shut the fuck up! But outside of all those hipsters working in Diagon Alley, there are people who tell you that plants and pesticides are trying to kill you. Supporters of the carnivore diet. And then you have vegans telling you that it's the healthiest diet that one can possibly adopt. Some say climate change is the end of the world. And others say, no, there's more wood and trees in the earth than there ever have been. There's a binary spectrum about just about any topic under the sun, and the internet has allowed for the validation of all those topics. I could say that bananas are tasty, and someone will probably write a mean comment telling me that if I like them so much, I should stick one up my ass. The same scientific method we were using 100 years ago to discern information is the same one we use today, and yet the culture is flipped, and absolutely no one holds the same worldview as our great-grandfathers. No one. Absolutely no one. Nope. Can't think of one person. So the internet has allowed all forms of information, not just well-developed and processed forms, to be disseminated into the world, and the powers that be are now trying to create a world in which certain information is invalid in the face of the worldview they have created for the masses to consume. The common term to describe these people is the media. So I'm going to state the obvious and say that there's pretty much no one who doesn't see the chasm between mainstream media and the worldview of the broader populace, except for the media themselves at least. No, I'm not saying there's going to be a populist revolution or anything, but when people are like, this film was made for modern audiences? I'm always like, oh, so definitely not for me. Okay, I can't wait to not watch that. I'm gonna pop the popcorn, open a bag of chips, have some soda, sit on the couch, just so I don't watch this. Something that really bothers me is the way the term giving a platform is used to contextualize a situation and rationalize why a person shouldn't be able to speak. I mean, ideally, in the name of freedom of expression, everyone should be allowed to speak, while democracy allows only the good ideas to remain in the public discussion. I mean, come on. The collective always decides for us so that we can live in a functioning society based off trust and consensus, much like the one we have right now. I mean, don't take it from me. Take it from this guy.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
In terms of the values of a culture, one place to look where we were definitely more aligned before the modern era is Hollywood and the movie stars it produced. Now, while Hollywood still does, before they were to a great extent actors of representations of truth. And since films are very expensive to make, and that we can only have so many of them, the people who got to play in those movies got the attention of the very few. Now, most of the time when you see a great movie, you subconsciously like the actor himself on top of the role he is playing. I mean, I associate Matt Damon's face with Good Will Hunting, which is one of my personal favorite movies. And it's not even him. But, for example, Sean Connery was James Bond, a role model for many males in the 1960s and 70s. This was a time when it wasn't really divisive for men to be quite as strong-willed, and so Sean Connery reaped the benefit of playing a character that everyone loved, and therefore, by proxy, he as a celebrity was loved too. Movies capture the truths we all knew in our hearts, and nothing better captured that than Star Wars, before Disney destroyed it. There's a light side and a dark side, and if you're confused as to which side you are, you can check the color of your lightsaber. Fuck. And Star Wars is a movie where you swing a laser sword and try to kill a big black machine guy or whatever. There's a moon and blow shit up and a bunch of teddy bears. Blow up the moon and beat the big black machine man. Guy Luke is given a mission. Rescue Princess Leia. Save the universe. You have an uncle. He dies. Watching all the Jedi go... My mind fucking couldn't take it. It was too great. Alright, but why did I suddenly go from talking about Metal Gear Solid to Star Wars? Star Wars is a story most people can watch and understand without much background. It's simple, and it speaks to a larger, more vague and universal truth everyone can get behind. Writing a script meant to help the audience tap into that part of their psyche where they all kind of feel like their own movie hero isn't too hard. Take this scene of Luke Skywalker looking into the sunset, for example. It's so good that I'm just gonna shut up and let you guys watch how powerful this stuff is. Not a single word spoken, and yet we just know what this means. You're a kid awaiting your destiny, hoping for bigger things one day. It's just beautiful. And that's true. That instinct, that feeling you have. It's not political. It's just real. We all have it. And I really feel like this is one of those few things I can confidently argue as true. That human desire to go on and experience life. And this scene is getting you hyped for that. I feel like a kid again. What's next? What's gonna happen? Anyway, make the good guy relatable like anyone could be in his shoes. And then choose a bad guy we all love to hate. You know, Darth Vader. George Lucas, the creator of it all, and his masterful crafting of Star Wars aligns with Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. Sometimes it's called the monomyth, but think of like The Hobbit, Star Wars, Harry Potter. You know, some dumbass kid from a small town goes on an adventure and then he comes home changed. That's this monomyth, but you know. But the monomyth has been captivating audiences across generations with its timeless themes. These narratives speak to the core of the human experience, transcending political divides and fostering a sense of unity. Good guy versus bad guy. Good guy wins. It's literally called the hero of 1,000 faces. The problem with modern companies like Disney is that there are always these little moments that remind you that the people who wrote this have a very, very specific message they want to tell and are less interested in speaking to something universal. Because if it weren't divisive, then half the fucking country would be bitching about the other side every time a topic like this is brought up. Oh my god. I'm not going to spend another 20 minutes on the culture war. I'm too tired for that today. And there are 100 other YouTube channels who take their craft far more earnestly than I do. I'm just saying that the art isn't a clear reflection of the people as it used to be. Star Wars was once this thing that everyone loved, and then, well, I mean, I guess people who like Star Trek, whatever, but then The Last Jedi came out and we got an angry-ass purple-haired lady basically looking like a modern-day art student. Wait, I was an art student. Does that mean... Never mind. Picking on one of the main characters for just trying to be... for just like a leader. That's not very universal, Disney. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join. Popularity of channels such as The Critical Drinker have shown me that there's too big of a rift between those making the media and those consuming it. But I digress. In the current age, Hollywood doesn't really give a damn about how frustrated a small town kid working at McDonald's in Oklahoma is. And outside of declining box office numbers and the amount of crap that they're churning out, there are really few ways that you can challenge these people, but I don't know, whatever. Because the elite and the working class are so far removed, they can't even understand each other. And thus, like, they're living in different worlds with different values, different truths. I mean, who knows? The world that they're creating in might be appreciated by some people. People who probably do not watch this channel because they would probably be trying to take this video down. You know, people who actually prefer modern media to older media because it speaks to the, well, what, you know. But let's consider where things may have gone wrong. You know when you're watching something and you just go, ugh. It's called the ugh factor. It means you don't like what you're watching. And it's really hard to have the ugh factor in little stories like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. You know, it's a moral lesson on the importance of honesty, which transcends politics, transcends culture, making it a cornerstone in English-speaking cultures. Who hasn't heard of The Boy Who Cried Wolf? You lied so many times about something bad that's happening that when the real thing does actually befall you, boom, you're eaten. Like, I really don't think there's anything divisive about this story. Just don't lie. You know, it's not like you're gonna post this to Reddit and someone's gonna have a problem.
Excuse me. I just wanted to say that The Boy Who Cried Wolf is...
So there you have it. Unfortunately, modern Hollywood seems increasingly fixated on divisive narratives, devoid of the universal truths that once captivated audiences. And despite this trend, there's a yearning for stories that connect on a deeper level beyond the boundaries of political ideology. It's a trend that shows no signs of abating, and leaving many to ponder the loss of the universal appeal that once defined cinema's golden age. Regardless of the prevailing beliefs, there seems to persist a perpetual struggle between mainstream narratives and dissenting voices. This leads us into a profound exploration of the very nature of truth itself. But instead of giving my 2 cents about this, I invite you to discuss this theme in the comments below and give me your insights. Anyway, thanks for watching.